Good afternoon, Simon. Let's life's a gamble. Let's take a chance. We're now at Titchmarsh Marina, which is now going to be Chance's home for the next 4 years while we do her restoration. As you can see, I've got some staging set up to work on the starboard hand side and across the transom, which is the first major job we have to do to Chance in order to stabilise her worst part of the whole structure, which is the starboard aft cabin and and up to the cockpit and through to the transom, which is no longer there. So that's what we've got to do. So as you can see, there's a lot of work involved in doing this part. There's trestles all set up ready to work at the right working height to the side of the boat, and that's how it's going to be. We'll move them around the boat as we need them, but here is the first major obstacle, which is going to be the transom. As you can see, it is in a very poor state. All the way up to the deck, bits of the deck beams are missing as they fell off, and there is some of it still in place, but the majority of it is all rotten and needs to be replaced, right down to the keel. Thankfully, apart from the very end of the keel is in good order, which is a saving grace. We haven't got to replace the keel like Leo had to do on Tally-Ho. We have to do it, however, we do have to replace a number of frames and a fair few ribs. So this is where the first part of the major restoration is going to take place. This part of the boat, up the port hand side framework, which is rotten, although it is still in place and still in good position, so it can be used as a pattern all the way across the top. Yeah, and right to the centre line, and then down again, down the centre line, right down to the bottom of the stern post onto the keel. Once we've made the pattern for the port hand side, we'll transfer the pattern to the starboard hand side, which you can see is vastly missing and in lots of ways is a complete into shambles. So that is where we've got to start first. Sort this transom out, get the woodwork and the shape back in the boat. New beam shelf will have to be made, which will have to go the full length of the boat to the fore cabin. It will be done in sections because we cannot get a piece of wood that long, but that is the way it was always done, and this we're going to replicate it again. So I've been pumping the water out the bilge this morning, getting it dry. Fresh water is not supposed to be in the bilge, but as we can see, we haven't got a cover on Chance yet, which we hope to rectify as soon as we get some funds available to get a cover on her. But in the meantime, we'll use reasonably cheap tarpaulins and change them as and when we need them, until we get a very heavy duty tarpaulin which will last the duration of the refit and restoration of Chance. So as you can see, plenty to do, and we'll carry on tomorrow when the rest of the family is going to come and help carry on with some of this arduous, mind deadening work, but it has to be done. Until then, that's all. Thank you. Here is a pile of oak and larch, first of many we will have to do the restoration. This was left over from a previous restoration I was doing, and so this pile of wood is already paid for. So we will endeavour to purchase as and when needed more wood, but in the meantime it's a matter of making the parts up for the transom, rebuilding the transom, and once that's rebuilt, the framework, then we'll actually start to skin the transom, put the deck beams back in, and then go from there.